justice will be given to EJK victims for the GSP Plus privileges, to continue the GSP Plus privileges for the Philippines?
The GSP Plus, which gives access to the European market for exports from the Philippines on favourable terms, is conditional on the Philippines and the other countries who benefit from it complying with human rights and labour standards. In addition to the delegation that came from the European Parliament, there has also been a monitoring mission by the European Commission looking at the performance of the Philippines on these criteria under the current GSP Plus arrangement. Under the new system which we are going to adopt for the GSP Plus, there will be a requirement on every country which benefits from GSP Plus, in effect, to reapply for it. And that reapplication will be subject to consideration by the European Council, which represents all of the 27 member states, and the European Parliament. And they will look very closely at the human rights performance of the country and the situation of labour and economic rights. Those assessments will be carried out over the course of the next year to 2 years.
But so far, sir, what's your initial assessment on the performance of the current administration? Because, of course, we understand that the Duterte administration which had questionable track record in terms of human rights, and then the Marcos administration is just a new administration. What's your initial findings or observations about the solutions being provided by the current administration?
Well, I'm always careful about making conclusive findings after a relatively short visit. But I can say this, that the current administration has shown a greater openness to engagement with the international community on human rights issues. They've been more open to engaging with the United Nations special procedures, and some of the United Nations special rapporteurs have been there. They have been more open to engaging with the European Union. We have a subcommittee on human rights which has met recently. There was the visit of the Human Rights Committee of the European Parliament, and now my visit, the first time that I visited as the Special Representative for Human Rights, and an openness to engage and talk with us about human rights issues. That's very positive. I do understand that the numbers of people who have been killed in extrajudicial killings, that number is significantly down, but there are still killings. There are issues, I think, that we have to address. I think the issue of accountability for the killings that have taken place. As I understand it, the state acknowledges that there are about 6,500 such killings. Others say that it's more than that. But to date, there have only been 3 convictions. So we will need to see improvement on that. And there are other matters as well, of course, where we will be looking to the government for improvements. But I think it is positive that we are having an engagement and that we are hearing from the government a willingness to address these human rights issues.
How about the ICC, sir? Would we push for the Philippines to rejoin the Rome Statute? Because based on the rhetorics being presented by the current administration, they're more into they said they will disengage with the ICC after the recent rejection of the appeal of the Philippines.
Well, the European Union is a very strong supporter of the ICC, and we have always encouraged every country to ratify the Rome Statute, to become part and to stay part of the International Criminal Court. But I think one thing we need to remember about the International Criminal Court is that it is a court of last resort. The International Criminal Court only interests itself in a country where that country is either unwilling or unable to bring about justice and to bring about accountability itself. If the issues are addressed by the country and by the country's own justice system, then the International Criminal Court doesn't become involved. So I would hope that because the primary responsibility in all of these cases rests on the individual country and on the individual state. I would hope that the Philippines will address these issues itself, and if it does that, and if it does that to the satisfaction of the International Criminal Court, then the International Criminal Court doesn't become involved.
Do you think, sir, that the Philippine government is doing enough investigating the EJK, the extra-judicial killings, during that administration with the present one?
Well, it's relatively early days in the current administration, so I'm not going to pass a comment on that. But what I do look at are the investigations that have taken place today. If there have been 6,500 killings, and as I said, some people think there are more than that, and there have only been 3 convictions, then there is a lot to be done. And we will certainly have expectations of more prosecutions and more convictions and more cases brought to justice. And this will be an area that will be looked at by the European Union, and will also be looked at by the European Union in the context of the GSP Plus arrangements.
Would you be raising this when you talk to your counterparts here or to the government?
We are raising this all of the time. This is part of the ongoing conversation that we have with the government on human rights issues generally. It's one of the main topics of discussion. Okay, done. Thank you very much. Thank you.